We believe it's so important to be anticipating the next move. I would also say on the beginnings of a ETF Bitcoin, we believe ETFs are a technology no different than Bitcoin was a technology for asset storage. We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets. And that means every stock, every bond will have its own, basically, CUSIP. It'll be on one general ledger. Every investor, you and I, will have our own number, our own identification. We could rid ourselves of all issues around illicit activities about bonds and stocks and digital by having a tokenization. But the most importantly thing, we can customize strategies through tokenization that fits every individual.
Anybody can give insight on what?
Well, actually, I'm going to jump in because I disagree with both of my co-hosts here. There's a raft of problems, both in the community of crypto and also in the implementation. I want to create a picture. Currently, to my knowledge, there is no regulation that captures the capability of blockchain or ERC-20 type token. Most regulation was based upon the concept of ownership equals possession, okay, or possession could be separated from ownership, but that's it. Now, with smart contracts, you can quantificate this concept, split it in 4 different pieces. So he can own the token, he can have possession of the token, he can have control of the token. Okay, this is revolutionary, and this breaks the concept of equity in law, which is Europe and the U.S. Much of the law that governs securities jurisdictions are based on either American or U.S. law. On top of this, you have tokens that now allow you to do things that weren't even conceived. For instance, instead of having stock, common stock, preferred stock, a bond, debenture, or loan, I can wipe that entire slate clean, and I can just ask him, as a seller of a token, he's willing to give up 10% of his revenue if he doesn't get any control. This means that no venture capitalists want to touch it. But as an investor, he's not interested in running his company, but he would love to have income. And then as a different investor, he's looking for capital gains, or he's looking for gold income, and still doesn't want to run his company. In today's traditional market, he wouldn't get touched by private equity and venture capitalists. My company could come as a consultant, we'll structure a token, we eliminate the concepts of equity, debt, etc., and we just take the attributes. So now, you get to keep voting control, you give up 10% of revenues, he gets a Series B token that captures capital gains, and he gets a Series C token that gives him what he wants, which is whatever I suggested. So the ability to separate this means you have custom-built tokens, but none of it is covered by current regulatory jurisdictions, whether it's the US, Europe, UK, or Asia. So the rules have to be rewritten. If you try and enforce in the US securities laws, which were based upon a 1933 Securities Act, is something that's brand new in 2018, it's not going to work. And that's where you have a problem, particularly if you're trying to apply it retroactively, which is where most of the issues come from.
We would have instantaneous settlement. Think about all the costs of settling bonds and stocks. But if you had a tokenization, everything would be immediate because it's just a line item. And so we believe this is a technological transformation for financial assets. I believe if you want to talk about voting and voting choice and all the things, if we know every moment who is the owner of that stock and it's now time to vote, every individual who has ownership is identified and they can vote their own share. And we believe it's so important to be anticipating the next move. And we believe it's so important to be anticipating the next move. And we believe it's so important to be anticipating the next move.
May I jump in?
Yes.
So I'm going to go old school. There's a very simple way to value any token. As a matter of fact, because the same rule to value any security, any piece of real estate, a stock, a bond, a used car, and even the tie that you had on yesterday. It's economic cash flows. A token or any other investment is valued by the amount of money that you make, right? Adjusted by the amount of risk that you pay to get it. So I'm going to buy 1 bottle of reward, and I'm going to pay 1/2 bottle of risk for it. It is valued at 1/2. 1/2 bottle of risk buys 1 full bottle of reward, it's worth 1/2. That's very simple, and that you can use that to value any single token. Now, the harder part is, how do you measure the risk and how do you measure the reward? But if you use that simple metric, which is called risk-adjusted reward, you can value any token. Now, when you break the tokens components of reward up into things such as cash flow, so capital gains, income, etc., that's where they get into the hard parts. But saying that tokens are difficult to value compared to everything else, I think is a misnomer.
Yes.
There's some nuance to this. So there's different type of asset class that token represents. In the traditional world, real estate, stocks, bonds, etc., those are underlying assets. So tokens can pay dividends based on underlying assets. When you get into what we do with cryptocurrencies, most ICOs, they're not performing. People are not investing in them based on cash flow to just returns to underlying assets. First of all, they have any underlying assets. What we call willingness to pay. So when the internet bubble happened about 15 years ago, with Google, eBay, Facebook, all these companies, Amazon, people are not looking at it this kind of cash. Any kind of disruptive and transformative technology that happens in the industry, people are always zealous of overpay initially to be a part of that early adopter curve. And typically at some point in that bubble burst, but we're still in that early phase in cryptocurrency. We're nowhere, in my opinion, near that bubble. Yeah, we may have some volatility, but at this stage, cryptocurrency is still getting high premiums because of the exuberance and the undetermined, upside to this industry. And long as that's happening, people will continue to invest in the exuberance and get a premium. At some point, at the internet, reality to them, maybe 10 years from now, the stocks start trading on something traditional, this kind of cash flow. Okay, I think we're far from that.
When do you think the market is ready for the exchange?
Can we debate that topic?
Yeah.
Okay, so very well articulated, but I disagree. In the internet bubble, the buyers of Google, Facebook, and everybody else, not Facebook, but Google, Amazon, everybody else, bought on exactly discounted cash flow, at least the educated buyers. What they did was, because there was no cash flows, they projected the cash flows out 10, 15 years, and then they discounted the cash flows back to the present, which is the academic definition of discounted cash flows. Now, there's a lot of guesswork, which is what I said before, so you have to figure out what the reward is. That's the reward. Say Google makes $40 billion over the next 8 years, and then you discount it back by the risk. Let's say 25% risk. And the result is your risk-adjusted reward, which is the price of Google. Now, a lot of bikini.com crapped out. The buyers of Google made a fortune. Discounted cash
Let's do
flows.
a survey. Who bought crypto on discounted cash flows?
And now, you can do the same survey, say how many people make money. And you can do the same survey, say how many people make money with crypto. That same hand will go up. So it's a matter of academic rigor. Okay? Well, I think the answer to that has nothing to do with discussing the crypto market. I can't stand the cryptocurrency trying to apply to everything, but the crypto market has been woefully lacking in diversity. And I don't mean diversity as in, whites, blacks, Indians, but diversity in terms of expertise. It's been mostly software engineers and developers. Software engineers and developers, if they're very good, can write code, but they don't run businesses. So when you have a diverse team of business management, product marketing, financial analysis, developers, engineers, etc., you have a business that's put together better than what you see now. When you see someone create an ICO and they hoard tokens for management, they don't know how to value the tokens. They go and issue the offering and say the token's going to go up because we're burning tokens, which is nonsense. And then you have basically a lot of projects that are crashing and burning, even though they might have had a strong business model, a strong product. Another thing you don't have is business models, which is why you have a lack of research tokens at work.
How long does this tokens exist? How can it survive? It is not deriving any utility value.
I can give you an easy answer. When the real professional investors come into the market, they wipe all that out. Right now, he asked the question, how many people invest on VCF? Nobody raised their hand. This time next year, when you raise your hand, and 90% of the audience, when you ask that question, and 90% of the audience raise their hands, that's when those utility tokens that don't have a model are wiped out. But right now, you have people who are at a low cost basis because they bought Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then they throw the money away.
That's what we lack in the current system. So that's why there's no proper model of proper interoperability. I mean, we have seen interoperability on the technical front, but not on the economic front.
Right. Well, actually, that's not true. Our company does that, so that's not true. I don't want to push it, but we've been doing that for a while.
I would like to hear your points.
Okay, well, it's a model. Anybody wants to see valuation reports, they're about 60 pages each. You go to veritation.com, just scroll down and you'll see access sample reports, and we break it down both graphically and textually how to value disparate companies. We did PayPal and Populous, which are invoice factoring companies. And right, we went through the fundamental analysis of invoice factoring, but then we backed into how much the token model applies to the valuation portion. And it's significant as you go on. In the beginning, it doesn't matter much, but as you get more and more users, the network effect actually supersedes the value of cash flows.
But I personally feel NV equal to PQ is cliched in terms of the crypto.
Excuse me?
And the network velocity equation which is NV equal to PQ, which is cliched in this crypto.
And oversimplified. It's also, that's not, that's like judging market cap by saying the amount of tokens times price. That's not market capitalization, and it's not even close. But these oversimplifications are popular because most people get their education from the media and usually have a 2 or 3 paragraph article to convey the message, and you don't have time to really get into nuts and bolts.
And then would like to add some points.
What's the question again?
What is the best security token you have seen so far?
The best security token I've seen so far hasn't been launched yet. But I think an easy way to address it, I have to try and address the other question. Basically, you go back to old school fundamental analysis. You take a look at the project, okay? Will it generate revenues? You have a branch, yes, no. The answer is yes. The addressable market, how large? Large addressable market, if it's yes, then how quickly can this project scale to capture that market? If it's a positive answer to that, then you say, how defensible are the margins? Because that's very, very important. Most of these companies can scale quickly and may have a large addressable market. They can't defend the margins because they started as an open source project, okay? And it's very easy to replicate. And basically they have to burn whatever profits they make to generate more revenues. Once you have a defensible margin model, then you start focusing on profits. How profitable is it? Okay, if you get yes to all those, then you have a potentially strong investment. Then you start thinking about how you return the investment. For the first 5 some odd years, you're going to be in high growth no matter what. So all profits should be reinvested. Once you get to the point where you can start sharing profits, how are they shared? Are they shared as, this all depends upon the jurisdiction you're in. In the US, you have to pay certain taxes that you don't pay, say in Grand Cayman or Bermuda, etc. So this is the type of thinking that goes into a security token. What most traditional investors don't realize is that there are other metrics. Velocity of the token, how often the token turns over. Most importantly, you have Metcalfe's law, the network effect. A token can make a lot more money than a stock because a token that's used by more people is more valuable. The more valuable it's used, the more people that use it. Watch, rinse, and repeat.
How does the network velocity will impact the price of this token price?
Well, with everything remaining the same, the higher the network, not as the network velocity and network effect are two
But let's
separate.
suppose a scenario, there are 2 companies with a partners,
Right.
they have different network velocity. And in fact, the network velocity and the internet transaction.
Right.
But if you interoperable the both the tokens, so what would be the metrics?
Well,
How do you relate these both tokens?
let's get the semantics.
Because now we are reliant on the third party. Let's suppose if 2 tokens they are pegged with either BTC or some X token, and then they are deriving their value, which is not intrinsically bounded.
Right.
So how the direct interaction between these tokens happen?
Okay, well, let's get the semantics correct. The network effect is basically the amount of people that use the token. Velocity is how often the token recycles through the system. So they're 2 separate issues. The network effect is simple. The more people that think of the internet, okay? When the internet first started, and I only use the internet, it didn't have much value. When we both use the internet, it had more value. When everybody in this room uses the internet, the value doesn't scale linearly, it scales exponentially. So the larger the network effect, the more valuable the token. Once it comes to velocity, then that depends on the business model. Okay, so if you have a business model where every time the token turns around, there's more value to it, then the higher the velocity, the more valuable it is. This is something that doesn't apply with stock valuation, with Amazon, Facebook. It applies with Facebook, but not with the stocks. What you can do is if you merge